Hey guys, this is Corey from Redefining Strength. Welcome to the Fitness Hacks Podcast. This is the show where I share all my free workout and nutrition tips. I'm not going to ever fill this episode with sponsorships or ask you to buy anything. All I ask in return is if you're enjoying the podcast to leave a review or leave a 5-star rating. Or even better, share it with someone you think it might help. This will only take a few minutes and would mean the world to me and possibly change the life of someone you know. So let's jump right in. Stop making the same mistakes. So I was searching for a way to describe a cycle I feel I repeat at times and that I see clients repeating at times. And I found Aesop's fable, The Lion, the Ass, and the Fox. And I'm going to call it the donkey from here on out. But the story is a lion, fox, and the donkey are all hunting together. They're all gathering a huge amount of food and now have to decide how to divide it. The lion asks the donkey to divide the food. So the donkey chooses to divide the portions equally. This made the lion, the king of the beasts, angry, and with his paw, he killed the donkey. The lion then asked the fox to divide the food. The fox wasted no time. He quickly gave a huge heap to the lion and only kept a small portion to himself. The lion asked the fox, "Who taught you to divide so fairly?" The fox replied, "I learned from the donkey." We need to learn from our own mistakes and the mistakes of others. And even having sometimes a coach there in our corner to help guide us through and point out potential pitfalls because they've seen them happen personally or with other clients is really key. But I think so often, a lot of times when we do have a mistake, a setback happen, we run from that failure. We deny it, we ignore it, or we don't even choose to see the mistakes and the things that other people have done to correct them out there and instead say, oh, well, my situation is different, instead of saying, well, why did this happen for them? The more we can pause to assess and reflect on different situations, on our own experiences, the better off we're going to be. But we keep ourselves stuck in this loop, repeating the same mistakes when we don't dive deep into things. And I see this a lot of times happening with nutrition, especially with specific diets with labels. We'll start a diet with a label, say keto. We'll cut our carbs really low. Often, because we're not even tracking, we'll do it by restricting specific foods. In restricting these foods that we even enjoy and we don't want to restrict long term, yes, we do see weight loss, but we can't maintain this because eventually we add these foods back in and then we don't know how to create that same potential macro breakdown that the keto diet was having us do once we've added those foods back in. So, we end up falling off because it's not sustainable. We want those foods in. We then search for another diet with label and we think, well, it was because I had to cut out all the carbs that I loved. So we go to a diet that potentially has us restrict other foods. Maybe we're focusing more now on paleo, which has specific foods we're supposed to include, but we can have carbs, so we think it's going to work out. But then again, with paleo, we're cutting out specific foods and ultimately we want to include those foods, but we don't know how to create the same macro breakdown that restricting those foods created. So we end up falling off, regaining the weight. What we've fallen for is the same pattern, just with a different label. And we don't realize we're repeating the same mistake because we never really dove into what was at the heart of it. Instead, if we pause to really assess and ask ourselves why didn't this work? Why wasn't it sustainable? We could see, hey, it's with restriction. And hey, these diets are even working because of how they're adjusting my macros, how they're dialing in my calories. So can I track what I'm doing with them to then be able to work in other foods and still hit those same numbers to see results? It's honestly why I love macros, because at the heart of it, that's the best way to adjust your diet and be able to work in anything you like. But it's learning from these mistakes that really helps us find the sustainable solutions, the sustainable habit changes for us. Even with workouts, is there a reason why you weren't able to be consistent with a workout routine during a specific phase of life? We might just say, oh, I struggle with consistency. But hey, maybe it's that, 5 days a week works during January where you don't have any trips, but 3 days a week works, during February or March where work is busy or you're traveling more or there's school activities, whatever else it is. So it's really diving into why did something fail in the past? And then even assessing when we have friends that are doing specific things or family that's doing specific things, or even see other people, saying something doesn't work well. Hey, why did they have this experience? What were their mistakes that they made? Why could this work for me? Or why might it not work for me based on the mistakes that they also made? And, shameless plug, this is why I love my coaching, because I've made a lot of mistakes. I've seen a lot of clients make a lot of mistakes over the last decade. My coaches have seen clients make a lot of mistakes. They've made a lot of mistakes themselves. And we can bring all that knowledge to the table. The more we can not ignore these past experiences, the more we can learn from, books, programs, all these different things, the more we can leap ahead faster. It's not that we can't do it on our own, but why make mistakes if you don't have to? Why not learn from the donkey instead of getting yourself killed, right? So I would really urge you this week to assess if you're struggling to see results. What mistakes are you making? What mistakes are out there? How can you see or gain perspective on those mistakes to learn from them and really help yourself move forward? Thanks for listening to the Fitness Hacks Podcast. Again, this is the place where I share all my free workout and nutrition tips. I'm never going to run sponsorships or ask you to buy anything. All I ask in return is if you're enjoying the podcast to leave a rating or review or share it with someone you think it might help. This will only take a few minutes, and it would mean the world to me and possibly change the life of someone you know.